I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction. Here with your feeder flash for Thursday, October the 4th. Had a big Wednesday. A lot of big feeder cattle auctions, a lot of them really pressing the market into territory that we haven't seen for quite a while. And this cash is really strong, guys, especially on the feeders, but it's pretty strong on the fat cattle too. And we're getting close in now where we're in the spot month on your fat cattle. We're in October, and the board is a negative basis. The board's higher than what cash is. And you know, if those things aren't pretty close, or if your fat board stays higher than cash, we'll have some tenders for delivery. And we haven't seen that for quite a while, but that's the whole thing that keeps this deal running together. But the board was off a little bit on Wednesday, and if we can get it to come back up later in the week, then we'll sure get some higher fat cattle. But let's look at the board on Wednesday. October live cattle futures were down 77 cents at 113.20. We're hoping for $1.12 this week on a live basis. You know, our last established market was 111. If they try to do 111 again and the board holds pretty close to where it's at, we'll have a lot of tenders for delivery. But if we get $1.12, which is where the market needs to be this week, that'll keep them away. It costs at minimum $1.50 to deliver cattle, and a lot of the guys would really feel better about doing it if it's $2 plus. But December fat cattle futures down $1.07. They're at 118.40. Look at the gap between your December and your October. And it's $5.20 there, and that's a pretty good stretch. And it's all spelling out one thing: this market is heading north. October feeder cattle down $1.20, and your cash feeder cattle auctions paid no attention to that at all. They were all hot and higher. But down $1.20 on your spot October, 157.87. November feeder cattle down 80 cents at 158.77. Notice they're trading at a premium too. But your fat cattle trade, you remember a week ago we started out with a little bit of early lower trade, and then the board got higher and the packers just stopped everything. They were happy with the way things were going. They didn't want to let that lower trade change, and they wanted to keep it that way. And in the middle of the week there, your board was higher, and it just halted all trade. Well, this week we started out earlier in the week with a little bit of higher trade with most all the live sales we've seen so far, and they've all mostly been in Iowa, some in Nebraska, at $1.12. So they're starting out higher, and now the middle of the week lower board halted trade. And it's just a kind of a flip side of a coin there. But through Tuesday, that sold 5,600 in the 5 area feeding region, negotiated 111 to mostly 112, be steady to mostly $1 higher, and 174 dressed, which would be fully steady. Your box beef cutout values continue to drift a little bit lower. Your choice cuts on Wednesday afternoon, we're at 204.42, down 47 cents. Select down 168 at 192.30. Choice select spread setting just over 12 bucks. Your slaughter so far for the week through Wednesday, 358,000. That's exactly the same as last week, and 14,000 more than the same week a year ago. Your real-time index on Beef Market Central on your feeder cattle based on the 800 pounder, your 7 to 899 pounders, late on Wednesday set at 155.49, actually 18 cents higher, and that's after a huge El Reno sale in the Southern Plains, a big Dodge City sale with winter livestock. But we had enough, those markets were strong enough, and then we had enough of those Northern Plains markets that it made your index even a little bit higher, which is a pretty strong indicator right there. But I want to give you several quotes here on feeder cattle. OKC West and El Reno, 11,000 head of cattle there. They ended up having a few more yearlings than they did calves, but that won't last much longer, maybe another week or two, and then the calf run will overshadow your yearlings because they're running out, guys, and the calf run is here for fall. But feeder steers $2 to $3 higher, feeder heifers $4 to $8 higher. That's on a big test. Not a deal here and a deal there. If you remember on Tuesday, your wean calves were steady, but your ballers were $2 to $4 lower. Look at the report from Cattle Market Central here out of El Reno at OKC West. And you look at the well-tested market there. I want you to look at the well-tested weight groups on the steers. 1,119 head of 7-weight steers reported automatically right from the block there. 7 to 800 pounders average 753 at 158.51. Now that weighted average was a little over a buck lower than the previous week, but there was some big calves in there on your 7-weight category that was pulling that down a little bit. Now you get up into your 8 weights. 1,029 8-weight steers averaged 844 pounds at 156.18. That's higher than your real-time index there on your 8 to 900 pounders there at El Reno. And their weighted average was more than $4 higher than the weighted average from the previous week. Just a really strong market there in El Reno on a big test of cattle. But Dodge City, Kansas, winter livestock, just kind of a moderate run there for them, 1,900 head there. But feeders were firm to $3 higher, spots $5 to $6 higher on yearling heifers. You look at some individual quotes. Back over at El Reno, look at this quote here, and right on 800-pound steers, which is your benchmark for your feeder cattle board. 51 head of 800-pound steers in El Reno bring 163.50. Now that's big time, guys. That's a lot higher than we've seen them all summer and so far this fall. That is really a good quote there. You know, I talked on yesterday's visit about Creston, Iowa having a good sale there with the Fry family. Well, the information's in already from there. Right here, automated information on Cattle Market Central. Look at the 7 to 900 pound index cattle load lots out of Creston, Iowa. Just look at those. Very impressive quotes there. And they sold from 155.5 to 167.10 on the 7 to 900 pound pot loads. And then of course you got Bassett, Nebraska. It's Wednesday, and Sand Hill, Nebraska cattle there. Just quote after quote, just unbelievable. But this was the one that tripped my trigger, the biggest. 60 head of 925 pound steers in Bassett bring 167.50. That's your feeder flash for Thursday.